Stephen Burns, a longtime computer software engineer, is on a mission to make a commercially viable electric car.
This is our first trip to the New York Auto Show. It's all shiny, but there's a lot of meat underneath, a lot of technology in these cars, you know?
But as the big companies flaunt their latest models in the face of a recession and even potential bankruptcy, smaller companies are converting existing cars to run on electricity, or designing cars from the ground up, like California-based Fisker, which makes the Karma, a 4-passenger electric luxury car.
The reason I believe that we can go up against the big car companies is because we are looking at developing a car from a complete new point of view. And that's something that is very difficult for the established car makers to do because they've done the same thing for the last 100 years.
In an obscure laboratory outside Cincinnati, Ohio, Burns' company, Advanced Mechanical Products, that's AMP for short, cracked the computer code of a Saturn Sky convertible and replaced its gasoline engine with batteries and twin electric motors.
We acknowledge readily we're standing on the shoulders of giants. General Motors, for example, I'm sure they could do this if they put their mind to it. Their resources and what, you know, their 100 years of car making, they could do it. They could probably put a man on the moon and back if they wanted to. But you can't do everything. So I think they've come to realize, and all the automotive car companies have come to realize, that these small pockets of innovation can be of great help to them.
But innovation still costs money. Historically, raising enough capital has meant the end of the road for even the most promising young car companies. In December, AMP drove its car to Washington, D.C. to apply for a $20 million loan from the Department of Energy.
And this is at the same time that the big three were up in front of Congress trying to justify why they should get loans to build advanced vehicles. And you know, we thought it was kind of cool, small companies pulling up in one of their cars already electrified.
If AMP scores a federal loan, it says it can electrify thousands of cars over the next 4 years. If not, they'll modify cars one by one. For the buyer, that's $25,000 for the Saturn, another $25,000 for the conversion.
I think always when you develop a vehicle, you find problems that you don't expect.
3-year-old APTERA Motors, another California-based company, traveled to New York City a few weeks ago to show their car to investors, but decided against staying in town for the New York Auto Show. APTERA took a different approach. To create a viable electric car company, they believed they needed an entirely new kind of vehicle. They claim the APTERA is the world's most aerodynamic car.
I think it's a sick car. That's such a futuristic, crazy-looking car.
Yeah, it's my car. So what do you want one? 200 miles per gallon.
Its wow factor is impressive, but APTERA's 3-wheel design disqualified them from government funding. The feds considered it a motorcycle, not a car. Funding or not, APTERA plans to start selling cars this year. Why not go 4 wheels with this vehicle and make it more conventional?
Well, we could. The problem is that as we looked at the vehicle and we did a study to put a 4th wheel on it, with the added weight, friction, and aerodynamic losses, we degraded our fuel economy by 34%.
34%.
A huge number in our world.
While 4,000 customers have already put down $500 deposits on the car, the question remains, can the company win over the average American buyer?
Beyond a breakthrough in the battery, which is the critical event to make electric cars viable, beyond that, these small companies will need access to big company resources to make these products commercially viable.
But really, to get a car into mass production in the thousands, that requires, you know, a high-tech factory, a very knowledgeable engineering team.
Henrik Fisker is the former Aston Martin and BMW designer. His Karma is set to reach showrooms later this year. With deep pockets, a dealer network, and a former Porsche factory ready to crank out cars, Fisker may be one electric startup that's truly equipped to take on the big boys. As for Burns, he hopes to start working with major American auto manufacturers in the future.
When I met my wife back in college, you know, I was talking about the electric car. And to see it and be able to get in it and drive it now, you know, it's something.